we are going to share with you some of the most common but powerful tools that is being used to improve the business. Okay, not only specifically to banking, but in any organization, in any industry in the world. Okay, so to give you some context, I came from manufacturing background, and then I moved to facility management, and now I'm in banking. Okay, so I have used the exact same tools to do any improvement projects to improve the business in overall. Okay, so for the next 2 days, bear with us. You're going to learn some of the best tools that's actually being used worldwide. Okay. All right. So before that, sorry, did I introduce myself just now? Check, right? Okay. My name is Shafiq, and today I will be assisted by my colleagues, Ridwan here, and Hueli at the back. So these are all your coaches, and today they will also assist me in doing the workshops. Okay. So we will have 5 workshops for the next 2 days. Okay. So first of all, I need to know your background. So I need to know my participants so that I can tell a little bit on the pace of this program and share. But depends on your background level. Okay. So I need you to just quickly share your name, department, and what you are doing on a daily basis. Okay, and number 2 is your knowledge level of Lean. If you do not know anything before this, you just say 0. Nothing to be ashamed about because it's maybe something new for a lot of people. Okay, and if you understand a little bit of the basic, then maybe 1. And if you know, but you need help to apply some of the tools, maybe 2. And if you already know how to do it by yourself, then 3. And if you can teach, maybe 4 lah. Okay, if a lot of you are 3 and 4, then maybe we can finish our training before lunch today. Okay. Alright, so we start with, who wants to start first? Okay lah, we start with the guy at the back, Mr. Damon.
Okay, my name is Damon. I'm from Operation. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Morning. Hi, morning, everyone. My name is Damon. I'm from Ops. My boss is Secretary Hong. So, what else? So, number 2.
Your knowledge level of Lean?
I would say somewhere between 1.
Okay, fair enough.
1, yeah. So, for cost saving and improvement projects, I did a little bit here and there, but can explore more.
Okay, thanks, Damon. The next one, can we just go one round? You need mic? I think better mic.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Betty. I am from Wholesale Credit Operation under LE. My knowledge of Lean is, I would say it's level 0 because I have not been involved in any cost saving or improvement projects before. So this is my first experience.
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks.
Morning, everyone. Yvonne here from WCO also. Under Michelle. Michelle Prime, then my head is under Mandy. My knowledge I level 0. Didn't involve any project before.
Hi, morning. I'm Chiu Hun from Shred Support System Department under Kelvin Ton. And my knowledge level for Lean is 0 because I also don't have any experience under project improvement. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Rosina from Payment Center. Knowledge of Lean 0. Experience in cost saving, no. But basically I involved in ISO 2022 project. That's the best. Yes. Thank you.
Hi, good morning everyone. My name Jack from MLCT. My knowledge level of Lean is 0 and no experience in cost saving and improvement project.
Hi all, good morning. My name is Irayu from DMAIC. My knowledge level of Lean 0. Experience in cost saving or improvement projects, even have 0.
Hi all, I'm Arnie from MLCT as well. My knowledge is 0 and haven't been involved in any kind of project, also in cost saving and improvement project.
Good morning. My name is Imran from MLCT. My knowledge of Lean, level of Lean 0, and I don't have any experience for saving or improvement project.
Okay. Okay, thanks everyone. I feel a bit relieved because most of you are 0 and 1, right? Otherwise, we cannot continue this training, right? So we can, knowing that, we can continue. All right. Okay, so, knowing a lot of you are 0 and 1 should be fine. We will work with you slowly and we will, we will share our knowledge and work with you depends on your pace, right? So by the end of this course, you should be able to identify the opportunities for improvement in your area of work, sharing by Jin Yang just now, the 8 types of ways. So by the end of this course, you should be able to know that. And number 2 is to implement Lean methodology in process improvement projects. So we will go through in details for that, the 5 phases, DMAIC, okay? And then lastly, you will be able to apply the Lean tools in problem solving activities, okay? So essentially, after this training, you should be able to move to level 2 and 3, okay? Maybe some of you can go to level 4, I'm not sure, but at least you can move up to level 2 and 3, okay?
Level 3.
Level 3, Jin Yang wants level 3, okay? So, all right. Okay, so as an overview, what we are going to do during these 2 days, so now we are at 9:30, okay? Or we still got time? All right, we should move to introduction of Lean now, okay, but it's fine, okay? Then we will go to 8 ways, 8 types of ways that you will identify in your work areas, okay? And then after that, after the tea break, we will have a workshop. So this time you will work in your group, okay? And after that, we'll go through the DMAIC methodology, 5 phases in Lean: define, measure, analyze, improve, and control. And then after lunch, we will do the process mapping. Okay, maybe some of you guys are already familiar with this process mapping, right? But during this workshop, during this session and workshop, you can further detail up your process, okay? And then at the end of the day, we will go through the 7 QC tools. This is a bit more technical. I hope you still can survive until this point. It's 4:30, I know. Okay, and then tomorrow we will continue a little bit on the 7 QC tools, and then we go to the root cause analysis. And after lunch, we will generate solutions and then prioritize the solutions. And then after tea break, we will finish up with Lean A3 template and the closing, where I need some inputs from you guys. What have you learned for the 2 days? Okay, so the house rules is very simple. Phones on silent. All right, if you need to take calls, you are allowed to go outside. And I need you guys to follow the timing here because we are very tight actually, okay? And respect each other. During the discussion, maybe I know some of you guys are very, strong opinion, right? So you just bash each other. Don't do that, okay? So please respect each other. We want to finish the 2 days in harmony, okay? All right, and I need your participation in this workshop. I might ask some questions here and there. You can just ask your hand. If you want to ask question, also you can just raise your hand and then ask, okay? So this, I hope this is not, I don't want to make this training a stressful one, okay? So it's a casual one. You can ask anything and I can share So it's a two-way communication. It's not one way that I'm just talking here and then you guys just listening. No. Okay, so let's be interactive. And I guess it will be a lot interactive because during the workshop, after the workshop, you will have to present your work. Okay, but don't worry, it's just like a fun one. Okay. Alright, so you guys had some ideas, right, on what we are going to do during the next 2 days? Okay, fair enough. Alright. Okay. So what is lean? I know some of you don't know what is lean, right? But if some of you knows here, any guess or something? No? No? I need to bring my weapon. Oh, sorry. Any guess? Sorry, Shari, I cannot give you my... If you want to share anything, you can just stop. Anyone? What is lean? Anything. It's just one word, also fine. Maybe skinny or something. It's up to you. Process improvement also, one part of the lean. Cost saving is part of the lean. Okay, one more. No more? Okay, it's fine. Okay, so lean is actually a methodology which provides you a way or method to do more and more with less and less. Okay? So, meaning your output will be more, but you are using less resources. So less here, less human effort, less equipment, shorter time, okay, less space required, while coming closer and closer to providing customers with exactly what they want. This is meaning that we are achieving our SLA. Okay? Alright? So this is from Prof. James Womack, the one who actually introduced or actually put a lean in a structured way. He's one of the pioneer of lean lah. Okay. Alright, so essentially lean is do more with less. Okay, keep that in mind. So lean is do more with less. Alright. Okay, so another perspective of lean is maximize value and at the same time you are eliminating the loss. Loss here is waste. So waste, later we will go through the 8 types of waste. Okay, so you want to eliminate all those 8 types of waste, and at the same time you want to maximize your value of work. Okay, so it's a methodology for transforming processes to deliver customer value faster, improve flow, and eliminate waste. So the key point here is customer value. So when we are doing our work, we are producing output, right? So that output is actually something that is required by the customer. Okay? So that's all. That's your objective. You do work to finish your task. That task is actually required by your customer. So the customer, will go into detail who are our customers later on. Right? Okay, so in any of your work or task, we can categorize into 3 different elements: value added, non-value added, value enabler. Okay, so what is value added? So value added is actually something that contributes to the customer's perceived value of the product or service. So this is what actually customer is willing to pay for. Okay, may I ask one question? AML team, right? Because I see AML team is, they bring a strong contingent today with 4 people, right? So, okay, give a big hand of applause to AML team. Okay, so can one of you share what is your main task on a daily basis? Can you share? Any one of you?
Okay, actually in our ML team, 3 teams, which is MIS, ODD and OB. OB for standing for onboarding team, which is when the branch open the account, they will flow to our team first to onboard our customer. So another one is ODD team, which is ongoing due diligence, which is our analysts will ongoing our customer that already exists in our bank, on our bank customer lah. So also different customer got different risk rating. So our analysts will do the review all the customer by risk rating, which is by individual and then individual customer. So for MIS team, we will provide the information that ODD cannot get through the information by the branch. So they will go through with us first, with MIS team first, and then if MIS cannot give the information, they will go through the branch. So MIS team also will do the assigning case for onboarding team and ODD team.
Okay. So thanks, Imran. So if I can catch here, is your main task is to review the customer's background and assign the risk rating, right? So your risk rating will then be sent to Cyron, right? Okay, so here Cyron is your customer. Okay, so your value added task is the reviewing task. Sorry. Okay, so your value added task is the reviewing task. Okay, along the way, the whole process, you might need, I don't know, maybe some approval from your supervisor, right? That could be the value enabler. That is required in the process, but actually your Cyron does not care about that, right? So that is value enabler. You have to do that, otherwise your process cannot proceed. Okay, so your value added is reviewing task. Your approval from the boss is value enabler, and you also have non-value added. Okay, so this non-value added, it can be embedded into your value added. It can be waiting time. You're waiting for information from other departments. So that is non-value added. Okay, so in any task that you do, if you look closely in very details, you will identify three types of categories in your work: value added, value enabler, and non-value added. So this is actually the first step that you have to understand to do any process improvement. Okay, so not only in EML, in WCO or in CutOps, in GPC, in any process, there are three categories of items in your work that you need to identify. Okay, so after this, we will walk with you on how to identify these types of non-value added. Okay, value added is okay, you can maximize. Okay, in fact, if your work is 100% and your value added is 40%, in fact, you actually have to increase your value added to 70% at least. So another 30% is your value enabler. Okay, and you need to eliminate or minimize as much as you can non-value added. Okay, so far you clear on these three categories? Alright. Alright, why do we need to use lean methodology in today's business? Because in yesterday's market, right, maybe 10 years ago, if you want to increase your profit by 100%, you can just simply increase your price of product or service, right? Because maybe during that time, less competitors, right? So you can do that easily, right? Then you can increase your profit by 100%, from 200 to 400, okay? And you're operating at the same level, right? But in today's market, if we do that, we will lose our customers. They can just simply go to our competitors, right? And we will lose our market share, right? That's a fact, okay? So in order for you to do this, you cannot increase the service price. You have to maintain that. So at their level, we are providing, we are giving them the same value, right? But internally, we are actually reducing our costs. So this is where lean will help. Okay. Oh, the food is here. Okay. Hopefully you feel more energetic seeing the food. Okay. All right. So, by reducing your operation costs, or we can say turnaround time, right? You do that by eliminating a lot of redundant activities or 8 ways. We will go later on. Or simplify the process, right? Then this will create a lot of, not free time, but reduce a lot of your workloads, right? So you can use that to actually do other more strategic or more important tasks rather than doing routine activities, which can be eliminated, right? Okay, so that will actually improve your productivity and employee satisfaction. And at the end of the day, this will eventually lead to the customer experience, to better customer experience and improve your delivery of service, right? So because you already reduce your turnaround time and you reduce your process, so you can do a lot of other more valuable tasks or strategic tasks, and you can improve your process along the way. Then eventually it will improve your customer experience and delivery. Okay, so these are the benefits of Lean, and it's very, I mean, it's it's pretty much depending on how you do it. Okay. All right. So these are the customers that I informed you just now. So first, we have two types of customer. Number one is internal customer. So these are essentially the colleagues or the person of the same organization, right? Who receives services, products, information or support from other individuals or departments. So they are your colleagues. So for example here, IT department, they provide the technical support to the employees in the company. So all the employees in the companies are actually the customers to the IT team. So the output of the IT team is actually to serve all the employees inside the organization. All right. The HR are managing the payroll and benefits of the employees. Okay, so HR also actually, we are actually the clients to HR. Okay, so we are their customers, right? And marketing team creates campaigns and materials that sales teams use. So here, the marketing team is providing the output for the sales team, which is the materials, right? So here, sales team is the customer for the marketing team, right? So these are internal customers. Okay, so don't be confused when I said customers is the traditional customers, the one who are outside the company. They can be internally. Okay, so now you know your customers, then you know how to tackle the problem. I mean, improve your service, improve your output to increase the customer satisfaction. All right. So secondly, you have the external customers. So these are the traditional customers lah, right? The one outside our company, the one who actually receive the end product. Okay. Let's say we start with AML, the onboarding customer, and then the next can be Cyron, and from the Cyron they can be the branch, right? For branch they can be the end customer. So these are the external customers. Okay. Alright, they are not part of the organization itself, but are the ultimate customers or clients. Okay. Alright, so these are the examples. We buy the software from any tech vendor, so we are their customers. And a patient receiving the treatment at the hospitals, also the patient is paying, right? So they are the end customers. Alright. Okay, now we move on to the 8 ways. You guys still okay? Everything okay, right? Alright? Okay, good. Okay. So these are the 8 types of ways that is the most common. Okay? This is regarded as a worldwide terms lah. Okay? You go anywhere in the world, if you can spell out the 8 ways, then people will know that, okay, you are the guy who actually can see can do the process improvement, because you know how to identify. Okay, so the first step to actually do the process improvement is to identify the 8 ways. If you cannot identify, you cannot see through the lens of the one who actually can see these 8 types of waste, then we don't realize that it's actually a waste, right? So how to eliminate if we cannot identify? So this is the first step. Okay? We have someone online? Oh no? Alright. Okay, so the first one is defects. I'll go into details in each and every of these. So the first one is defects. Okay? So in any organization, if you have 0 defects, then your business is top notch. Right? It's a top notch. Okay? You see defects, usually we will refer to defect as a physical item, right? A broken pen or broken chair or something, right? But it's actually, it can be more than that. Let's say you compute your data into the Excel, it's a wrong number. That is defect. Because when you send to the next person or your supervisor, then he will use that defect to present, right? Then that's actually a wrong information. That is a defect. Okay? And number 2 is overproduction. Produce more than what is actually required. Okay? Because it's always just in case. Okay? Waiting. This is, I think, the most common. Everywhere there are waiting times, right? Non-utilized talent. Okay, this can be regarded as whether you are not putting the right person at the right place, or because your day-to-day work is already, overload. So you have to, you are doing the routine task, so you cannot use your brain or your genius to actually do something that is more strategic or more important, right? So that is actually can be regarded as non-utilized talent. That guy is very good, but because he has to process a lot of tasks from 9 to 5, so he cannot do anything else. So that is a non-utilized talent, right? Number 5 is transportation, the movement of item from one place to another without changing its shape. What is the common example we can see in our bank? Can you guess? Have you seen someone carrying around documents from one place to another for approval or something? Have you seen? No? Right? So that is one kind of transportation. The transportation of that document from one place to another without changing any value of that. Okay, you might agree, maybe the approval is something that is value enabler. But maybe you can think of how to eliminate the movement. E-approval or something, right? So that's just an idea. We need to be creative to find ways on how to eliminate all those. But essentially, that is classified as transportation waste. Okay? And then we have inventory. You keep a lot of flyers or, stationaries. And after, maybe you do the marketing, right? You print out a lot of flyers, right? And then after a few months, the marketing campaign ended, but the flyers is still there. So that is some kind of waste of inventory, right? Motion. So motion is essentially the movement of people. Transportation is movement of item or product. Motion is movement of people. Okay? So maybe in banking, the motion is not so obvious. Maybe you are just sitting at your desk, right? But let's say in other services like healthcare, the nurse have to move from one place to another, right? So that movement is a motion. So in order to reduce that motion, maybe you can bring around those common areas nearer, so you can reduce that kind of motion. So in banking, maybe you can move your pantry closer. Can? Cannot?
I think you can consider motion within the computer as well. Because sometimes when we do process study, sometimes they go from, I see some of your screen, right? Oh, sorry. I see some of your screens, you have like 3 or 4 different programs, then you're going, copy that, paste into Excel, and do some processing there, then copy, paste there. So you have a lot of motion within computer as well, right? So some of those things, especially if it's repetitive and is some standard, right, then maybe you can automate it in some way. So motion is not also only in the physical realm, but can be on the digital realm as well.
Yeah. Thanks, Ridwan. So we need to see these 8 types of defect in financial sector or banking in more creative ways. It's not necessarily something that is very physical. No, it can be anything. So that's why I said these 8 types of ways can be used anywhere in the world. It can be applied into any organization, any business, right? Just that you need to understand the underlying fundamentals of that. Okay? And the last one is extra processing. I think this one also very common, right? In every process we have checker maker, right? Right? That one can be essential, but can be non-essential. It depends. If your process is actually very, you do it right the first time, maybe you don't need a checker, or you can reduce the workload of the checker by only checking few common items that errors always happen. That's all. Okay? Or maybe you have few rounds of review, checking, right? So maybe you can reduce those process. So this is just an idea. I'm not going to give you solution today. So this is just to give you some insights, and you need to think. Okay? It's in your process. I think you guys, no, not I think, that I'm quite I know that I'm not that expert in a lot of process here. You guys are more expert than me. You guys are SME, subject matter experts, right? So in AML, I think Imran, Arnie knows 2 times, 3 times better than me. So you guys are going to do this process improvement at your very own place. So these are the areas that you want to look into. So I'm not going to do any process improvement at your areas. You have to do that, okay? Because you are the SME here, okay? So Damon from Card Ops, I don't know much about the Card Ops, but I know Damon knows everything from A to Z. So he's the right person to implement this at his areas, okay? So in order for you to easily remember or understand this, you can use the acronyms downtime. Okay, D for defects, overproduction, waiting, non-utilized talents, transportation, inventory, motion, and extra processing. So it's easy to understand, right? Downtime. Others can use team moods or something, but I think this one is a better one lah. Downtime. Easy to remember. Okay. Okay. So you guys, now you can see some of your 8 ways in your areas. Somehow, a little bit. Can? Okay, because in the next workshop, we are going to, you guys have to come up with examples of these 8 types of waste in your areas. Okay, so maybe because we only have 9 people here, maybe we can separate into 3 groups. Okay, 4, 3, 2. Is it okay? You guys decide lah. Or if you want to do alone, it's fine. We can have like 2, 3, 5, 6 groups. It depends. Maybe 5 groups. Okay, WCO 1 team, GPC 1 team, AML, CROPS. It's up to you. You guys decide. Okay. Okay, before that, we're going to go some examples lah of each and every type of wage just now. I think I go deeper just now. Alright, so number one is defect. It can be incorrect deposit amount. I think these are all the common issues lah. Wrong account credited, issuing incorrect account statement, incorrect customer information, especially during the onboarding, right? You can enter the wrong customer information. Maybe you misspell the names or something. Error in loan documentation. So these are all the common defects or errors that actually happens in banking. Okay. Number two is overproduction, produce too much or too soon, right? Like the one I mentioned just now, printing paperwork out before it really needed, preparing detailed reports. This is very common, right? We are producing a lot of reports every day, right? For your supervisor, maybe daily, weekly, monthly, but then it's actually essentially the same thing. Okay, so it's up to you how do you want to look at those reports. It can be useful, but then if you can simplify, then it's one of the areas that you need to look into lah. Okay, printing large batch of promotional brochures, just now I said. Okay, generate pre-approved credit card offer who don't meet the actual risk criteria. So you generate the pre-approved, but then when you go again, when you look into the customer's background, then you have to reject. So this is overproduction lah, right? So now I hope you can get some ideas on how actually these 8 types of waste are actually happens in our daily work, especially in the banking sector. Okay, waiting at the branch. I'm not sure if we have any of the branch have any this type of queue. No, right? Hopefully not lah, right? Maybe during the Raya time lah, when you want to change the Duit Raya or CNY want to change, right? So that one is a special cost lah, right? Okay. Loan officer waiting for a credit report from another department. This is common, right? You cannot proceed to the next step unless you get that information, right? So this is some kind of waiting. Okay, so that is a waste. Okay, and then number 4, non-utilized talents. Okay, signing an experienced financial analyst to perform routine data entry. So this is non-utilized talents. Okay, and you are not getting any feedbacks from the front lines, right? Actually, the customers complain to them, but the complaints actually just stop there. So as a management, you are not getting the feedbacks from the front line. So that's actually a non-utilized talent. Lack of training or empowerment. Okay, transportation, mortgage application file physically move between departments for various checks and approval. I'm not sure if this is still happening now or not, but I think maybe in some of the applications we can move to the digital, right? Just an idea lah, right? Okay. Customers unnecessarily directed to different counters or departments. This one actually usually happens during the call, maybe, or you are calling the wrong department. Can you go and call this? So that is actually a kind of transportation, right? So sounds weird, right? But that is actually categorized of a kind of transportation waste. Okay, inventory, large backlogs of unprocessed loan application or KYC verification. This one maybe is common in ML. You have a large backlogs of customers' information that you need to process, right? So storage for just in case situation. Okay. Motion. Okay, maybe in a branch we can see a lot of this lah, right? Moving from one place to copy here and then come back to the customer and then go get approval. So this motion I think will be more telling in the branch lah, right? Not so much in the office. Okay. This one is mentioned by Ridwan just now, navigating through multiple complex screens, right? And this can be due to inefficient layouts or workplace design lah. Okay. And lastly, the extra processing. you're performing more works, more checks or steps in the process than is necessary. Of course, we want to produce a zero defect, right? But if we overdo, then that is categorized as extra processing. Okay, re-entering same data into multiple systems. Is it familiar? You have few systems that you have to compute the same data, and this very action actually will lead to another type of waste, which is defect. If you enter the wrong number into different systems, right, then you will create defects. So it's linked to each other, right? Some of the ways are actually linked to each other. Unnecessary reports, multiple layer of approval for small low-risk transaction, excessive detail checks, yes, ineffective or useless meeting. I think a lot of you are very busy every day, right? A lot of meetings. Some of you 4 or 5 meetings every day, right? But essentially, some of them can be just a simple email actually, right? So it depends on how you look at it. Okay, so it depends, but ineffective meeting can be categorized as extra processing. Okay, I know a lot of you are hungry by now. So these are the 4 areas that you are going to learn from half day of today and tomorrow. So before lunch, just now we have already completed the introduction. Okay, that's why I say if most of you are 3 and 4, we can go back after lunch already. Finish introduction and we can go back. So now we are going to start with the actual tools and techniques that you're going to be using in your project. Okay, so the first one will be the process mapping. I know some of you guys are already quite advanced on this because you have already gone through with your coach. All right, but for the benefit of all, let me just explain briefly before we go for our next workshop. Okay, so what is process mapping? You guys have heard about process mapping previously, right? I think most of us are already familiar, right? So essentially it's a practice of creating a visual diagram. Okay, so the keyword is here is visual diagram, right? Because I'm not sure, but have you guys ever experienced someone explaining to you on the process, right, that contains 10 years of information referring to multiple documents, and you have to digest at that particular time? Have you ever experienced that? No? Never? Because myself, we do a lot of process improvements at other departments, not our own departments, right? So when we go there, and then the person will explain to us verbally, not visually, verbally, on that process, and then we have to go, for example, we have to go to this system and pick up the data, and then we have to open this Excel sheet, and then we have to refer to the email from the customer, and then we have to go to, then I'm lost. My mind cannot instantly process that information. So that's why this visual diagram of process mapping will help us to digest the process. Okay, that's one of the benefits. So the key benefit here is the clarity. You can see the entire process at a glance. Once you see the process mapping from A to Z, you can understand already, okay, so what happened in this task, what is involved, what are the resources that are involved, and who are the key people inside here. Everything will be there. Okay, and also you can also spot any bottlenecks or area for improvements or waste, a type of waste. There will be inside the process mapping. You can definitely spot there. Okay, and also it's also a standardization that everyone is actually understand the same flow, step by step of a process, rather than you understand this version and I understand this version and the manager understand another version. So, and also it can be used as a powerful visual aid for the new hires lah. Okay, all right. So the first thing that we need to do is to map the as-is process. This is the current process, current steps on your task. Okay. Alright, the keyword here is capturing the messy, complex and true reality of how work gets done. Okay, it's not about following the SOP. It's not about following the rules and regulation rules. It's about what is actually happening. Okay, that is actually as is process mapping. Okay. Okay, usually when we are talking about the process mapping, there are three traps of perception. Okay, number one is what actually people think the process is. Okay. And number two is what is the ideal path. Okay. Number two is actually the SOP book lah, right? That is the best process flow according to the company or the one who actually invent the SOP lah. Okay. Sorry, this one is the official rule book is what actually the manual says, and the other path is how we want it to work, right? Maybe we want to skip few of the steps lah. Okay, so these are the three traps of perception of a process mapping. Alright, so this can be the ideal path, right? And this can be the reality. Okay, so your process says that it starts at step A, step B, and then finish. Okay, this is in the ideal path or in the SOP. But actually, after the step A, you have to wait for the approval from your manager or your other departments, waiting for documents, right? And then you have to do the manual fix if that is not what you actually want, then notify the team, and then the end. Or you proceed to step B, and then the end, right? So this is actually what you want to document, not this one. Because if you are documenting this one based on the SOP or rule book, you cannot actually identify what are the ways or identify any areas of improvement, because here is what actually the ways you can identify or visualize the ways. This is a kind of ways, right? Waiting. Okay, and this can also have ways inside here, notify the team, maybe transportation, motion, right? So this, I want you to map this one after this. Okay. Okay, you need to walk through the actual footsteps. Don't just read the maps or ask for direction or refer to the SOP. Alright, so this is the graphical representation of how a process mapping looks like. Okay, it can be more complex than this, but this is the basic ones. Okay, the shape is actually define the step. Okay, alright, so these symbols are the common ones we use in the process mapping. Okay, why do you need to have this symbol? Because it communicates what that step is. Okay, for example, this is oval shape, right? Oval shape will indicate the start or the end of a process. Okay, so if in your process mapping you only have one oval shape, means your project only have start or only have end. Either one, so it's not a complete one, right? And second one is rectangle. This one is the process itself. What are the steps or your work? Activity which changes and input. So it's your value added task lah, right? Or any task, any activities. Okay, if you need the arrow will show you the movement, right? And this one will show you if there is any delay or temporary storage. And the inverted triangle is identify when an output is in storage lah, right? And the diamond is where you have to make a decision. Okay, but don't worry, the most common ones that you will be using is 1, the start and end, 2 is the steps or the activities, and thirdly is the decision making, the diamond one. That's all. And then you use the arrow to map between from one step to another. Okay. All the others, don't worry too much. Some of them are there because they are used in manufacturing or other complex processes. But in our case, we only focus on 1, 2, 3, and 4. That's all. Okay. Okay. There are also other symbols lah. So but don't worry too much. Just for your knowledge, but maybe we are not using now. Okay. So this can be the document. If your process involves retrieving any documents or something, you can use this shape. Or database, you want to refer to any system database, you can use this shape. Or connector. Okay. These symbols are known worldwide. So if you go to any organization, any industries, you use this symbol, everyone will understand. Okay. Alright. So before we continue with the workshop, the step 1 to actually start your process mapping is to define the process scope. You remember in the project charter, we have the scope, right? So you have to define the process scope. Determine what process are you mapping. Okay? Which process are we specifically mapping? Because just now, I got information from WCO, it's very big, right? So now we have to go, okay, which process we actually want to map. Not the whole process of WCO, otherwise we cannot finish what we start. Okay? What is the trigger that starts the process, and what is the final outcome? Okay? Let's say from AML, your trigger is someone assigning you the task. That's the start. Okay? So your start or your oval shape inside here in there is assign the task, something like that lah. Okay? And what is the final outcome? Maybe your final outcome is customer risk assess, right? Or the assessment document, something like that. Okay? So you need to be clear. What is the start and where it ends? Okay? That is the first step. Second step is you need to gather the information. Okay, so here you need a team who are directly involved in the process. Okay, that's why when we do the process mapping, we cannot just involve the top management, right, or the managers. We need to include the person who is actually do the job. Okay, you need to have checker, maker, or analyst, manager. We need to have a diverse group of people inside. Okay, that is step 2, right? So you need to brainstorm what are they going to collect and what are the decisions and the inputs required. Maybe from the AML, I need the project manager needs information on how many cases are actually assigned. Then who is actually the right person to gather that information? And then maybe during the process mapping, you also need the TAT of that. Who actually recording those numbers? Maybe MIS, I'm not sure, but it could be, right? So you need to decide during the step 2. You need to form a team, brainstorm who is doing what, and what do you want to gather, to collect. Okay? Steps 3, you need to sequence the steps. Okay? Arrange all the identified tasks in chronological order. Okay. Here, don't worry about the symbols yet. You can just use the normal rectangular or oval shape. Don't worry too much on that yet. Okay? Just make a complete process first. Even if you don't want to use any shape, also fine. You just make a whole list of items and make sure it's complete. Okay? In a chronological order. Okay? Okay, and then once you have all the tasks, all the steps, all the lists are complete, then you draw the map using the symbols. Okay, so usually what we can do is we will write the steps on sticky notes, right? So you can move around the sticky notes when you are doing the sequencing. Okay, if you write down on any software or any, digital method, you can, but maybe you have to redo a lot of times, right? So, of course, using the sticky notes is very manual, right? But actually, it's quite useful especially during the initial stage. Okay. So once you have that ready, then you can record the mapping inside a proper documentation tools, right? Once complete, then you review and refine. Okay. So process mapping is not like you do the first time and that one will be a final one. There will be a lot of review and refine after that. Okay. Once you get more information, then you have to redo the map, right? So once that completed, you need to ask for feedback. Is it accurate? Because we don't want to just create a process mapping for the sake of creating it, right? We want an actual and accurate process mapping, right? So you need to review and refine until you get close to accurate, right? Okay, so use this feedback to make corrections and create a final version. Okay, and the most important is the map should be a true representation of the process. Like I said, you don't refer to the SOP, you don't refer to anyone who actually telling you this. You need to make sure that each and every step of the process map is a true representation of the process. If someone says, oh, you need to go through this person to get approval before you go to the next step, then you have to record that in the process map. Okay, it's part of the actual process, right? Maybe in the SOP says that once this step completed, you just move to the next one, right? So we don't want to refer to any SOP, we don't want to refer to any official document, we want the actual one. Okay? Alright, so this one, a typical process map used in the measure phase, right? You can see it's very straightforward. Start, step, decision, yes, move to this step, end. Decision, no, move to the next step, come back here, end. Okay? When you move to the next phase, analyze phase, maybe you get more and more information. So your process map actually evolve. They get more and more accurate. So you need to add more and more box here. Maybe it's got some delay or transportation, right? So it's not a fixed document, it's a dynamic one. It changes over time. Okay? Alright, so this is a basic diagram for home loan application. Anyone doing the home loan application? No, right? Okay. So start, submit the application, customer submit the application, bank will review the documents, credit check okay. If not okay, then reject, okay, approve the loan, end. This one is very basic. Okay? Okay, then we have a SIPOT diagram. This one is a high level overview. Okay, you can see clearly this is the whole process, the actual work done, and then you have the input, you have the output. So for each and every process here, what are the inputs? For example, you receive the application, what are the inputs? Application form. Okay, and then you verify the documents, and then what are the outputs? Loan decision. Okay, you need to perform the credit check after you verify the documents. Then what are the document input that you need? Credit report. Okay, then you approve or reject the loan, and then the output will be the loan agreement to the customer, right? And then approve or reject, then disburse the fund. What are the required input for that? Appraisal report. And then you disburse the fund, of course the output will be the fund transfer, right? And then who are the customers at the end? loan applicant, loan department, finance department. Okay, so this is a high level version of process mapping. Don't worry if you have never seen this before. This is not typical or commonly used. This is a high level one. If you know how to do this, then it's great, but for a basic process mapping, you don't need this one. Okay. Alright, so this is another type of process map, a swim lane diagram. So swim lane diagram is, they categorize each lane here, we call it swim lane, for each PIC. Let's say you have applicant, loan officer who processing the document, and underwriting. So the applicant will start to submit the application and documents, and then it will move to the loan officer. Officer will perform all of these steps, and then will send to the underwriting, and underwriting will perform all these steps, send back to the loan officer, and the loan officer will revert back to the customer, and then at the end of the day, disperse the fund after the underwriting approval. Okay, so this is another type of process mapping, also for the home loan applicant, but you can see who is doing who at which stage. Okay, start, end, and it's very clear on the task of each and every PIC here. Applicant, loan officer, underwriting. So it's up to you which one you want to do, want to use. Basic diagram, swim lane diagram, or SIPOT diagram. It's up to you. There is right or wrong method to use. It depends. Okay. But I would suggest, if you can do this type of process mapping, then your process will be a bit more detailed, right? So like I said, it's up to you which one you want to use, but I would suggest to use this type of diagram. Okay? Everyone clear? Okay? Any question? If some of you have already completed the process mapping, right, you can use back that one during the workshop, but you can add, if this step is actually one of the 8 types of waste. Okay, actually in the template after this I'll show. Okay, so this is an example of a complete process mapping lah. You can see it's very very detailed, right? I have a lot of decision making here, yes or no. Then you have to return back. So involve some documentation here, and then maybe documentation here. So it ends here. Okay. So it depends on your process whether it is complicated like this or very simple process. But everyone, if you are looking at this type of process mapping, then everyone can understand clearly what the process is all about. Okay, because if we cannot explain our task or our job in a process map, then actually we don't know what we are doing. You get what I mean or not? You must know what actually you are doing, where are the inputs are coming from, and what are the outputs of your process, right? And during that your actual task of job, what is the step-by-step action that you are doing? So you need to visually map those in a process mapping like this. Otherwise, you actually don't understand what actually you are doing, right? Okay. Now you guys familiar with a process map, right? Can? Oh, deep break. No. This one is okay. Why you want to tea break? All right. So let's create a process map. Okay. Use the group interview approach or a skilled mapping facilitator whenever possible. Okay, so the group interview approach is whenever you are doing a process mapping at another department or another function that you are not familiar with, you have to interview the person who is actually doing the job. Let's say I'm doing for the GPC. I need to interview Rosilla on what is actually your step-by-step process, right? So this is what is actually mean by a group interview approach, right? But if you are doing for your own process, then you don't have to do the group interview lah, okay? And a skilled mapping facilitator whenever possible, okay? So if you need help, then you can call Koeli, myself, or Ridwan to help you out, okay? And then when you are doing the process mapping, you cannot do alone. You need to have other inputs, okay? But for this workshop, it's okay if you are alone or you only have one in your team, then it's okay. We can just do it, okay? So in order for you to do a very good process map, then you need to select the right people who is very knowledgeable of the process, so-called SME, okay? And establish the ground rules at the start, okay? Stay in the room for no coming in out. This one is up to you lah. I mean, depends, right? Get a rough draft first, okay? So first thing first, you get a rough draft first. It's not necessary to be a final one. At least we have a draft. Where it starts, where it ends, what are the processes involved, okay? Encourage communication, okay? So this one, because we are doing the brainstorming, we need everyone to communicate or participate or give feedback, right? We have covered the process mapping, which is quite I don't know, labor intensive. How do you guys feel? Okay? It's okay, right? Because our next section, which is 7 QC tools, is a bit more technical, but essential. You guys have to know all of these 7 QC tools. Not necessarily QC lah, you can set 7 basic tools lah, right? Okay? So please bear with me, this is our last topic for today. Okay? So why do we need the 7 QC tools, right? Because we can say that quality is actually not an abstract goal. Abstract goal, you cannot measure, okay? So the quality is actually something that can be quantified. If cannot be quantified, then you cannot do any improvement, okay? So all this operational efficiency, regulatory, customer loyalty, risk mitigation, they require a systematic and data-driven approach, okay? You need to identify and analyze and quantify all these numbers so that you can do the improvement project or process improvement, okay? So these 7 tools is a worldwide, I mean, it's being used in all other industries as well, okay? Not only in banking, okay? So the check sheet, a graph and charts, Pareto diagram, histogram, control chart, scatter diagram, cause and effect diagram, or fishbone are used so that we can shift from firefighting. You familiar with that word? Firefighting culture towards proactive and continuous improvement culture. Okay. Alright. So some of the example of the real use case of these 7 tools. If you want to diagnose the root cause of inefficient loan processing, you need to use one of these. You want to prioritize fixes for the most common customer complaints, you can use a Pareto diagram. I'll go in very detail after this. You want to monitor the stability of transaction systems, you can use the control charts. You want to reduce the errors in compliance related activities, you can start with the check sheet and then you can use the graph and then you can provide Pareto diagram and you can also use the cause and effect diagram. Okay, so these tools are not we cannot say that one is superior over the other. Sometimes they need to be used in concurrence, right? Maybe you need to use 3 and 4 tools at the same time to solve a problem, or maybe you need to use all. So it depends on the magnitude of the problem. Okay, so number one, we have a check sheet. It's a form actually used to collect a data at the location, the real-time location. Okay, for example, you are tracking the customer complaints. We will use this check sheet at the branch level, right? So the customer directly complain to the officer or something, then we will use this type of sheet. And then we have graph and charts. This will provide you with understanding or to better interpret the trend. Let's say the capacity utilization rate. Any one of you know what is a capacity utilization rate? CUR? Anyone involved? No? Okay, so this is actually how your capacity as an employee is being utilized. If you say that your capacity is at 50%, then you need to be worried because, right? Okay, so essentially it should be around 80%, 90%. So it means that your capacity as an employee actually being utilized to the max lah. Okay, and maybe you want to see the trend of sales or trend of complaints or defects. And then we have a Pareto diagram. So this one is also one of the most important one that I think you will be using this quite frequently after this. Okay, graph and charts, I think a lot of us know. Pareto diagram, once you know, then you have to use that. I mean, it's quite one of the most important tools lah. Okay, and then we have histogram. This will show you the distribution of the data. Maybe we are not going to use this as much, but at least you have to know lah. Okay, then we have the control charts. This one not so much, but have some use cases lah. Okay, and then the scatter diagram is used to see or to find the correlation between the two variables. Okay, so let's say you are saying that long service years is equal to less error being done. You understand? So meaning to say that new joiners will do a lot more errors compared to the long service persons lah. But in order to prove that, you can use a scatter diagram. Okay. And then we have a cause and effect diagram. This one, we also use this a lot. Okay, in fact, this will be one of the workshops tomorrow. Okay, so these are the 7 QC tools that you need to know. If you know this, 95% of the problems can be solved using either one of these. Okay. All right. So we go a bit detailed, but I'll just keep those that are not quite common. Okay. So the check sheet is very simple. Let's say you want to collect the information of customer inquiries, then you can create a category and what are the frequency. So essentially, the teller or the officer at the branch will just make a mark once a customer asks about the balance inquiry. So in Monday, there are 3% asking about the balance inquiry. Tuesday, 5%. Wednesday. So by using this, you can actually quantify at which day the customers are actually making a lot of inquiries on which issues. Okay? So by using this very simple example, you can actually focus on which area actually you want to solve. Okay. For example, looking at here, maybe debit card issue and balance inquiry, right? So this one, if we are using, manual method to solve this issue, the officer have to explain to the customer, then we will waste their time and energy, right? Because balance inquiry and debit card issue can easily be settled maybe using in-branch or mobile apps, right? So what you can do with this data is maybe you can create a campaign to encourage the customer to use the in-branch or mobile apps to actually solve these problems rather than going to the branch and ask the officer there. Okay, so this is very simple but quite powerful actually. Okay, the case study, right? Okay, this one is I already mentioned just now. Okay, so case study number 2, AML KYC compliance verification audit. You guys familiar with this? Compliance verification audit? No? Okay, so the objective of this is to identify and quantify the most common errors in new account documentation. Okay, meaning to say that the auditor will go to the KYC, the ML side and go through all the documents and find what are the most common errors done by the officer there. So by using the check sheet data just now, the check sheet template here just now, they can create few categories like missing copy of identification, proof of address not verified, illegal signature, right? Then when they go through all the documents, let's say 100 samples, then they can make a mark there and count the frequency of the error. So in this case, if based on the tally, it is found that 35% of the audited files contain proof of address not verified. Okay, so by using this information, when the AML team is doing the training for new hires, right, maybe they can straight away highlight that you need to be more vigilant or focus more on the address of the customer. Otherwise, because this is one of the most common errors in the documentation, right? So this is one of the example of a check sheet lah. Okay, it's simple, but it can give you actually quite a very telling problem lah. What is actually the actual problem? Okay. And graph and charts, I think this one everyone is quite familiar, right? You can see a bar chart or line graph. Okay, so bar chart is used to compare items or products, right? And the line graph is to see the trend, whether you want to see that your trend of sales increasing or decreasing. So by using these tools, graph and charts, you can actually just look at a glance and you can see, okay, our performance is not quite good, or you can see there's a variation in your performance. What are the reasons? Okay, why the April and May your performance is very high, but January is very low. Okay, so you can find the reasons of why is that happening, and if there is an issue, then you need to tackle. Or if there is only a special cause, like maybe January, a lot of people are on leave or something, right? So that can be a special cause lah, right? But this graph will tell you a story. Okay. All right. So one of the case studies, they want to study the high bank-wide average customer wait time. So the management got the information that the average customer wait time at the branch is very high. Okay. Then how you want to use the graph and charts to actually study that? Okay. So you can collect the data for each branch. Okay, what are the average customer wait times? So the example here showing that the top 5 branches are having, 4 of them are having low average actually, 4 to 6 minutes. But one of them is actually at 50 minutes. So this actually is misleading statement given to the management, because when they said high bank-wide average customer wait time, then how do they want to tackle that problem? So by using this visual, you can see that only E branch is actually having an issue. So all others are actually a pretty good average, right? So you can straight away go to the E branch and conduct a study to deep dive into what actually happens. Okay, so this is one of the use cases of a graph and charts, right? And the next one, we have a Pareto diagram. So I said just now that this will be one of the most useful tools that can be used. Okay, it is actually introduced by the Italian economist Wilfredo Pareto. And according to his observation, 80% of Italy's wealth was owned by 20% of the population. Okay, so this comes into 80-20 rule. This is a Pareto principle, meaning that 80% of the problems can be solved by only focusing on 20% of the items. Okay, so you are only using 20% of your effort to solve 80% of the problems. All right, so how can it be used? So this is essentially a structure of a Pareto chart. You can see that the top 6 items here contributed to 80% of the total problems. Okay, here is number of cumulative, here is cumulative percentage. Okay, okay, so the advantages of using Pareto is you can focus on the smaller scopes, right? And you can only focus on the more significant factors rather than to solve all problems. That one is not feasible and you cannot do that, right? You don't have enough resources to settle all the problems, right? But of course you can settle the top 80% of the problems if your input is only 20%. So this can only be achieved by using a Pareto chart. Okay? Alright, so this is an example. Let's say you are processing customer complaints, right? So you realize that the number of complaints is very high. So how do you want to quantify or solve these issues? Okay, so you calculate the numbers of complaints and you categorize into 6 items, 6 rows. Okay, so for each and every complaint here, we have the total frequency. So if you are looking at this table, you know online banking issues and long wait times is the top 2, right? But if you put into a Pareto, okay, this is how you create a Pareto. When you put into this structure, you can see that the top 3 here will actually solve 80% of the total complaints. So 80% of 400 is around 320, right? So these 3 problems here, you are not going to solve at this very moment. So you are going to focus on the top 3, and 80% of your issues are actually gone after that. Okay? Alright, so in order to create a Pareto, it's very easy. You just go to the Excel and compute this table here, and go to the insert, choose recommended charts, and you choose a Pareto. Then it will straight away give you a graph like this. Okay? You don't have to create a combo chart or all the stuff. No, you just create insert, use recommended charts, choose the bottom one, then it will straight away give you something like this. Then you can make a line from 80%. Then you know the top 3, if you solve the top 3, you will solve 80% of the issues. Okay, so that's how you prioritize lah. Okay. Alright, so tool number 4 is histogram. Okay, this one is not very common, but at least you have to know lah. Okay, so the histogram is actually a set of continuous numerical data. Alright, so it shows you what are the average and what are the spread. Spread means, okay, let's say I'll just use the waiting times, right? So an average of waiting time for a customer is around 10 minutes. So you can see the bar here showing that a lot of customers are actually at this duration. But some of them are actually having maybe 40 minutes. So what are the issues here? Maybe you can deep dive into, okay, what actually happens? So this is how you see, right? But for histogram, actually there are 3 characteristics that you have to pay attention. One is a peak, central tendency, where's the average. Another one is a spread, and another one is a shape. Okay, so the shape, this one is a bell shape. This one is nothing to be worried about. It's a normal statistical distribution. But if you have something like this, meaning the shape is skewed either to the left or to the right, so means something is not right, because it depends on your issues. Okay, in this case, let's say we see the processing time of loan application that is right skewed in shape would indicate that most applications are processed relatively quickly, right? A lot actually is in here, but a few take a very long time. So what actually happens to those few cases? Okay, so this is how you can how this graph can give you a story or an insight of your process. And the third one, you have this one we call it a bimodal, meaning you have 2 average. Okay. All right, let's see some example. Okay. Okay, this one is the same. Typical time required to open a new customer account is around 20 minutes, right? So when you plot against, let's say, 200 cases, okay, the average time is around 90 minutes, okay? But when you plot the histogram, some of them can be around 45 minutes. So this visual representation can give a message to the management that you have to investigate what are the causes of these outliers. Why some of them takes about 45 minutes? Because your SLA is around 20, right? So if your graph is showing this shape, then you will be fine. But if your graph is showing this and this shape, then some investigation is worth the action. Okay. All right. So another example is distribution of call center resolution times. Okay. So this one, let's say you are studying 1,000 phone call logs, right? And then you see when you plot in the histogram, the graph are showing the bimodal, meaning you have 2 peaks here. So one is 5 minutes, another one is 25 minutes. So means 5 minutes is the average of one section and 25 minutes is the average of another section. So this actually shows that there are 2 different underlying processes are being measured as one. Okay, for example, maybe if the customer is calling to reset a password or asking about the balance check, maybe that one can be resolved very quick, right? 4 or 5 minutes or 3 minutes, right? So those are actually inside here. But another group of customers are actually maybe calling for, I don't know, maybe more complex technical issue, any errors in their online banking or troubleshooting or any loss of money, right? then that's why when you plot, they will give you 2 peaks in here. So management can now analyze and develop separate targeted improvement strategies to cater for tier 1 and tier 2 issues, so that your call center can be used more effectively, right? Because let's say for these issues, right, 5 minutes, maybe you can advise the customer to use self-service or mobile apps, right, rather than calling the customer service, so that you can reduce the workload of your customer service, or you can avoid from hiring extra manpower for that very process, right? Okay, so these are some of the examples of how you can use the histogram. Right, then we have control charts. So control charts looks very technical, but actually it's not. It's just a tool that is used to monitor your performance over time. Okay, I'm not going to explain on very details on what is the Six Sigma. Okay, this is 5 p.m. already, so it's not a suitable time. Okay, but let's go to the case study, right? So let's say okay, you want to determine the branch queuing process, whether it's stable or not stable, right? So every 1 p.m. you measure the customer wait time, the average customer wait time, for 20 consecutive business days. And then you construct a chart based on the average wait time, right? And then you see that the graph can be, something like this in normal days. This is random points, right? But then in one of those days or in that week, you can see that there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's actually below your average value. So this is showing you that something is not right, because it happens 7 consecutive times below the mean or the average. So now you can, okay, so what actually happens during this week? Okay, so maybe during those week they are launching a new marketing campaign, right? So that has actually significantly increased the branch traffic. So this actually maybe it's a special cost, right? Special cost that actually causing that issue. So maybe you need to re-evaluate the staffing model, or maybe you need to relocate the staff during the marketing campaign. It depends on what is the direction. But my point here is that this graph is actually showing you some story. Okay, so whether or not you are going to take action here, it depends on the severance of the issue, but definitely something is happening here, right? So if it's showing you something like this, then it's normal. It's just a random noise, okay? But it's 7 consecutive times below the average, or 7 consecutive times above the average, or below the lower limit or above the upper limit, then something is not right. Okay, that's how you use these control charts. I know it's a bit technical, but I'm not expecting you to understand 100%, but at least you know. There are tools that you can be used in certain circumstances. Okay? Okay, so this is a scatter diagram. This is actually also a very simple tool that is used to study a correlation. Whether or not you are saying that, oh, the traffic is jammed from 5 to 7 p.m. because people are actually going back from work. Is that a true hypothesis? Of course, we can say it's yes, it's very obvious, right? But if you want to use this type of charts, then you can plot a number of cars over the time, right? So you can see that number of cars increasing towards the after office hours. Okay, so let's see some case study. Okay, this one actually I told just now, right? More experienced loan officer produce loan application with fewer errors. I'm not sure if this is correct or not. Is this correct? Yes? Correct, right? Okay. So they take a sample of 30 loan officers. Okay. So the two variables will be years of experience plotted on the x-axis and average number of errors per 100 applications on the y-axis. Meaning, for every officer, they will do 100 loan application, how much error they commit. Okay. So when they plot, it shows something like this. Meaning, number of error decreasing with years of experience. Meaning to say that that hypothesis is correct. So what you can do with this is, maybe you want to improve the training method for the new hires, right? But if it is something like this, then something is wrong. Right? Number of error increase with experience. Then I don't know what you want to do with that. Okay, so that's the use of a scatter diagram lah. You can use to correlate whether this hypothesis is correct or not. Then you can use this type of tools. Okay. Alright. So the last one. Okay, this is one of the most important as well. Have you seen this fishbone? I think a lot of you are actually using this, right? Maybe in your studies time, right? Okay. So this is cause and effect diagram or fishbone, or we can call it Ishikawa. The name of the inventor of this is Ishikawa. Okay, or Kaoru Ishikawa. Okay. So tomorrow, first thing in the morning, we will do a fishbone, right? At the head here will be your problem statement, effect, and at the bones here will be the top categories of your causes. It can be either man, method, material, criteria, or it depends. Okay, this one is not fixed, you can change. If it is man, maybe because you can say that new joiner, or method, maybe lack of training, something like that. But this one, it's fine. Tomorrow we will guide you on how to do this. Okay. So how to use a fishbone to solve our problem? Okay. So here, we can say customer satisfaction score has dropped by 15% in the last quarter. So what are the issues? So if you use the fishbone, then you can break down into 5 categories here: people, process, system, policies, and the customer itself, right? And then the team will do a brainstorming, okay, on the people category. What are actually the cause of that? Staff may have inadequate training, low employee morale, right? It can be, okay. At this point, we are not going to say which one is correct, but we just want to gather as much causes that we can. Okay. In terms of the process, maybe the process is overly complex, right? So the customer actually does not happy with that. On the system side, maybe our mobile banking app is slow. Okay. If you are using the slow mobile apps for banking, of course you are not happy, right? So that can be one of the causes, and also the policies and the customers. Okay. All right. So case study number 2: average mortgage approval time exceeds the SLA level. Okay. This also can be due to a lot of categories and a lot of possible causes. Okay. So just now we do the process mapping, right? So in the process mapping, you have identified a lot of ways or areas of improvement. Okay, so now we will use the fishbone diagram on how to actually find the root cause of that. Okay, not now lah, tomorrow. Okay, so this we will do tomorrow. Okay. Okay, before that, I think a lot of us will actually maybe not understand what are the symptoms and what are the root cause. So we are not going to solve the symptoms, we want to solve the root cause. Okay, so the symptoms is the effect of a problem. Okay, if you go to a doctor, they will say, you are saying, oh, I have a fever. So say, oh, is your head is hot? Then that is the symptom, but that is not actually the root cause, right? The root cause can be because you are infected by a virus. Okay, so that is the different, right? And the symptoms actually you can see on the surface. It's actually there. You can see or you can feel, but the root cause sometimes is hidden and require extensive investigation, right? And then the impact is temporary. That's why we don't want to solve the symptom. We want to solve the permanent issue, which is the root cause. And okay, example is high employee turnover. I'm not sure which department have this high employee turnover, but this is actually a symptom, the effect, not actually the root cause. Why actually the employee leave? There must be some underlying factors, right? So that's what you want to find out. Maybe poor management, lack of growth opportunities. Okay, so this, you will use this in your fishbone tomorrow. Okay, do not state the symptom, but find the root cause. Okay. All right. So this is the last part. We will not take too much time here. This is just to summarize what you learned today. Okay. So this is a Lean A3. So it's part of project documentation. You want to document the whole project in one page. Okay. So you have your problem statement here, 5W1H, and then you have your fishbone here. All right. So essentially, your process mapping is done in this section lah. Okay, you do the process mapping, you know what to improve, where are the areas, and then you do the fishbone, and then this one is the 5Y. Okay, you take the top 5 or top 3 from the fishbone or from your causes from the fishbone, and then you do your 5Y here, and then you find your root cause. The small box here is to tick whether you check whether that one is a valid cause or not. Okay, and then you find the solution here, and then implementation, and then this is the end of your project. Okay, I think. All right, so the Lean A3 methodology is essentially your project documentation. It contains general information of your project, and then your problem statement, your fishbone, your 5Y, and what are the solutions that you want to do, and the responsibility for each key members here, and the status of the project, and verification and standardization is actually the control phase of your project. Okay, so this is essentially an A3 report. You should print in A3 size because it contains too much information. If you put in A4, you cannot see the words, right? Okay, so it lays out entire plans or reports. Okay, and that one single page actually is enough to tell a story of what actually you are doing, what actually you are improving. Okay, so if anyone is asking you where's the summary of your project, then you can show that as a summary. Okay, and then okay, so we will use that document to document all of your projects. Okay, so essentially each and everything we have a page of your project, and we will put in one folder. So for documentation, okay. Okay, so to break down from the linear tree just now, the first part is the function is your department, can be your department, and where are the areas as D, Q, SDS, Q, CM, which one is actually improving cost? Is it improving the quality or delivery to the customer? Morale of your employees? It can be few tick here, right? And then what KPI are affected? Who is the team leader? Who are the team members? Okay, so this basically you can find from your project charter as well, right? Next we have this one is your problem statement. Okay, this one also you can extract from the project charter. Okay, and this is the fishbone, 5 why or root cause, and the action, improve, or the solution that you want to do, and who is actually implementing that solution should be in here, and the status of that solution, is it still in progress or already completed? Okay, and the control phase, maybe you need to appoint any verification team, can be your supervisor or can be across department, right? And then if your process required SOP update, then you tick here. If not, then maybe you put some remarks. Okay, and if that process actually to reduce the rate or error or something, then maybe you need to have 1 point lesson. Okay, 1 point lesson is a very simple visual aids that you can use to point or show right and wrong. So which one is right, which one is wrong. So that is 1 point lesson. Okay. Okay, then finish already. Okay. So we actually want some feedbacks from you on what have you learned or what are the areas that you think very impactful in this session and which can actually help you in your daily tasks or your very own process. Okay. You're writing down, right? Oh, okay. But I think maybe I want to hear from you directly lah. When you're sharing your what do you learn or what do you want to learn more? Any topics? Okay. Anything that we can improve? Anyone wants to share? I still have some more of my bullets. Sorry, this is the leftover because you guys are very aggressive today answering my questions. Okay, anyone? We go round robin lah, can lah? We implement our first brainstorming technique, round robin. Or you want 635? No, right? Okay, alright. We start with Damon lah. Okay, start there first. It's always Damon first, right? So we start with this one. Okay, because you are the first guy, I'll give you one.
Can I summarize the whole training?
Yes.
Okay. For this training, I can see how we how to say
Too much information.
So, but I think the conclusion, the end of this training, I think I can narrow it down all the problems into the specific problem that we need to tackle. So I can see the Pareto diagram, right? So let's say we have 10, we just focus on the 3 major things, major problem that we need to tackle first. So no need to tackle everything, but just focus on the major problem. So
Correct.
by Pareto graph, I think, yeah, we can see the problem here is so many. from our team lah, I'm not sure that the teams got any problem like us. So within 10 or 20 problem, we can tackle the measure. So it narrow down the more specific problem that we can tackle.
Okay. So next, can we move to Arnie?
What can I learned a lot from this session. Initially, when I got this project, I was shocked actually because it's my first project. Right? So I was like, what should I do? What should I do? What is the problem? Because yeah, as you can see, there's quite a problem. So when I attend this session, I feel like, oh, I can see clearly now what can I focus more and what solution I can actually, what problem can I actually provide the solution or propose the solution to the higher management. So all the information I learned from this training is very helpful and I can use to further step.
Okay, thanks Arnie. Next, Idayu.
I think I learned a lot during the training. I can be more critical thinking when dealing with other cases next time. I think when next time I deal with any problem, maybe I can implement 5W 1H when I encounter any problem. I think that's all. But really fun during this training.
Okay. Thanks Idayu. Next, Jack.
I think I learned from this section is, apart from our daily BAU, we only see what the problem we face, but now we got time and different angle to look into the problem and find a solution to tackle all that and which problem prioritize first. This is what we learned here. Thanks.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Jack. We move to Rosilla.
So what I can learn from this training, we can identify the root cause for the problem, for the causes. So and then yeah, there's a lot of information that I can gather from this training. That is very useful training.
Okay.
Yeah. That's all.
All right. Jihun.
What I learned is I can know what is the technique that we can apply to solve our problem, and we need to find the main causes and we solve it. And also I get the chance to see others department what is their issue they are facing also. Overall, it's a good training and also the good food.
Good food.
What I learned I also very last minute again.
Yeah, I know. One day before.
At least I know that I go back, I can reduce the SPA side. I can start doing what I can do to reduce the inventory from this training. Maybe I can start doing my things.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Yvonne. Betty.
Same as most people, it's also last minute for me. Well, the first thing is when I think about lean training, it sounds quite intimidating and like very advanced level kind of thing. But then now I find it very helpful, and the best part of it is I can actually a lot of things that we have in mind can actually be put down on paper and visualize it.
Correct.
Yeah. So it's very helpful. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Betty. Oh, we have Damon.
So I have to say that this is really a good exposure. So it allows me.
I just later want to use Sharia one.
Later I want to do quick for
Okay.
You can continue. Later on, I unmute.
Okay, as I was saying, that this is a really good exposure. So especially when you handle the project, so you are not in the dark anymore. So at least you can see some light. So you know what to do. So that's all for me.
Okay.
That's all for me. Oh.
Thanks for sharing.
Okay. So I think maybe we Syaril lah. Okay, maybe Swee Hong, you want to add something? No? As maybe input from the HOD lah, Anita.
For me, overall, I can see because before that I admit why you all keep saying easy. I feel like so many things want to prepare. So after today, I feel like yeah, I need to. So at least I can identify what I'm supposed to do and what are benefits for the team. Okay, beside our other. So at least I know what is no task, what is why analysis.
Yeah, why analysis.
Yeah, kind of this lah. So I think I will deliver these things to my team members. So at least
that's
share
good.
a clear picture how they can start the works without just saying, but like you are saying that the why analysis, you cannot find the actual root cause, then you will not able to solve it because you keep saying a lot of work, too manual, but what is the actual root cause is still not identified. That's what I can say.
Okay, thanks. Maybe from Anita, how's the food?
The food is not free, by the way.
I think only my voice is
Okay.
downgrade. Okay, so even though I just like on and off, but I think this program is really hard. Okay, because normally the head the one will be think how to do the automation or what, but the down people, especially you all the one the hands-on, you will have the more idea. So with this kind of the module, I think it's help them more to identify the root cause or where to go, where to find a solution.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think there should be hands-on, then they know where to go. So I believe it's a good training this. So you should apply it, and whatever your daily, even your daily you do day to day, you also can apply this to your day to day. It's definitely there's a solution for you to find your problem and resolve it. So this is what I see.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Anita. Food is good, right? Okay. So maybe last but not least, from Jin Yang.
Yeah.
Use this one.
Okay. Walk around.
So I think for me, I'm very happy to see everyone being very engaged in this session. I think when a lot of you came on the first day, especially yesterday morning, I could see a lot of nervous faces. Right? It's either like, why am I here? Can I do this? How am I going to do this? But as you can see throughout the course of this training, it's very structured. Lean, the 5 phases, waste, everything is very structured, right? It's meant for anyone, and it cuts across different industries. So today is not the end. I think today is just you kickstarting your journey. You have been given the basic tools, and as I mentioned in the first day, this is a goal lean framework where the coaches, Shafiq, Ridwan, and Brady, they will journey alongside you, right? So we're not going to leave you by yourself, right? So if you have any questions, you need clarification on some tools, guidance, feel free to reach out to my team. They will do their best to coach you. But again, I want to emphasize that we want to develop our talent, our people, the best people in our division, which is you guys sitting here, right? So what that means is you have to do the work, because only by doing the work yourselves, you get to learn and apply, right? The coaches, they're very experienced, they can do it, of course, but that's not their objective. Their objective is to train you all up, guide you, so that you can do the work. So we call it teaching people how to fish, because if my team or Anita or Swee Hong is the only one always doing the fishing, there's only so much fish we can get, right? So we need to train more people how to fish. And the ultimate goal is for the entire department, eventually, to have this lean culture of continuous improvement. Because lean ultimately is about the mindset. It's a culture of continuous improvement. And
what you do today might be good for today, might not be good for tomorrow. So you always have to keep adapting, always keep trying to see opportunities where to improve, right? So that's my comment in a nutshell. I'm very happy, thankful that you're all here. The first cohort, we managed to survive this together. All right, so yeah, I think that's it from me. Thank you.